Welcome to PLZ Soccer's football show. I'm Peter Martin, delighted that you could join us. Alan Ruff and Tam McManus are here on this Wednesday with football to talk about, and all we need is you to hit that subscribe button and take us past the magical 30,000 subscribers, Ruffy, and the figures just keep going up and up. Lots of people now sharing the feed with their friends, telling everybody about it, and not only on our YouTube but Facebook and TikTok, and also across our other social media channels. Lots and lots of people just tuning in to PLZ Soccer 24/7.
I think we left anybody out. Have we missing anybody at all?
No. Do you want the good news, Ruffy? Do you want to know what's good about people joining us here on PLZ Soccer? It's absolutely free, which is great, Tam, in this
Many
world.
subscribers now?
30,000 subscribers, and it's absolutely free. So you get all the content that you want, and you can join in with the banter. And the good thing is, Tam, on this show, you get a chance to engage with not only us, but you get a chance to have a bit of banter with the people who are also on the feed.
Yep, I was playing golf the other day with a couple of subscribers, the Divines, if you're tuning in. Barry and Joe, we absolutely smashed them at golf. So I said I would give them a mention, but that's great, 30,000 subscriptions, 25,000 more than when I first joined.
Yes,
so I must be doing something right.
Well, absolutely. Where is Barry? Anyway, apart from everything else, got to tell you, should we have given them a shout out? The last thing you want is anybody who's a loser at golf. I mean, we want winners on the show.
Oh, they tune in at the show, Joe and Barry. I murdered at the golf the other day.
Brilliant. Listen, we showed this picture yesterday, Tam, and I thought you might like to see it because we didn't know, I didn't have the name handy, but this was a brilliant little picture of Peter McAleer, who's obviously decorated his Porsche in the Rangers badge.
Tell me he's not for Glasgow, is he?
He's not driving about in Glasgow. Ruffy, we thought it was a stonewall certainty that the wheels would have been jacked up and it would have been torched within 2 minutes.
Yeah, it certainly would have been, man. It looks magnificent. I suppose he's in a safe zone wherever he is. So.
Well, there's good news, by the way, because he's in Calgary in Canada. But he has just offered that magical sentence that you love, Ruffy. So, if you ever are over this way, we would love, obviously, to take you to the Pin Bar to watch Rangers play. We watch them every week, and we love the banter on the show, and that would be fantastic.
And he drives us down in his car.
Well, he drives us down in the car, Tam, and we get out and we head to the Pin Bar in Alberta, Canada.
I think we'd need to go in the summer. We couldn't go to Alberta in the winter. About 30 foot of snow. No, that'll be good. His car's cracking.
Yeah, absolutely magnificent. Well done to you, Peter, for that. We've got lots to talk about. Of course, first and foremost, our reporter, Kerry, is out there in George Square. She's been speaking to some of the Tartan Army ahead of the big game at Scotland against Ukraine. We're wondering, Kerry, at this moment, we know what's at stake. Steve Clarke wants, maybe 4 points out of 6. Ruffy says it's a must-win game against Ukraine. I wonder what the turnout's going to be like and what the feeling is among the Tartan Army. I'll come back to Kerry in a moment. She's still trying to get to join us. That's the big question. I just wonder what kind of crowd they're going to get there.
Yeah, I think Scottish support will get behind the team. There's still something to play for, but I really do think we need to come away with a win tonight. If it's 4 points, I hope 3 of the points are against Ukraine. That would dent them a wee bit.
You think that's a must?
Yeah, I think so, because we've got to go there, and the expectation of getting over there and winning. As I said, we've started from scratch now. We had a bad defeat against the Republic of Ireland in one of the last games that we played. So at home, I think you've got to get the fans back on board. They were really, really disappointed with no qualifying for the World Cup. I think we all thought we had a real chance to get there, but that never happened.
Kerry's there in George Square. Kerry, is there an enthusiasm among the Tartan Army?
Yep, the pubs are beginning to get busier. They're filling up. Men, women, children. I've seen them all dotted around the city centre in their Scotland tops. They've been singing, and the Scotland fans have been full of positivity ahead of this one.
Yeah, of course it's going to be a busy schedule, Kerry, because the one thing Steve Clarke knows, there are 3 tough games coming up which could determine our future in the Nations Group.
Yep, 3 games in 7 days for the Scotland team, Peter. They'll play Ukraine tonight, of course. They'll play Ireland on Saturday, and then the return leg to Ukraine on Tuesday. They fell out of the race, of course, last time in June. It was Ukraine that took that opportunity of the World Cup playoff position away from them, so they'll be looking to redeem themselves against Ukraine tonight. But 6 points out of their first 3 games, and the fixture's not too bad.
Yeah, another big point here, Kerry, is we've all been speculating over what type of team he's going to pick. He's got a few options, but he's got to come up with the right 11 that's going to alter the outcome. We certainly don't want the same outcome as the last time we come up against Ukraine.
No, of course not. We'll be looking to walk away with the game with a smile on our faces tonight, Peter. Let's looking at the Scotland squad just now. While Captain Andy Robertson will be missing the 3 games, it's just good timing for Kieran Tierney to come back into the Scotland squad. Meanwhile, Jacob Brown, Grant Hanley and John McLaughlin will be missing out, but the Rangers' third goalkeeper, Robbie McCrory, has been given the call-up to fill that goalkeeping space. While Robertson sits out for Scotland, a similar influential left-footer will be out for Ukraine. Alexander Zinchenko recently sustained a calf injury in training and might not return until next month.
A good bit of news for us. I don't wish the guy any longevity out in the injured list, but I like the fact that Zinchenko's not playing against us. Last point on this, Kerry, because Tam's hanging on your every word. What are the odds on us getting a win in this one?
Well, ahead of the game tonight, I like to add this bit in. The bookies' results are Scotland to win. They are 13-8. They do have a few players missing, but speaking to the fans, they were pretty confident about who Steve Clarke had brought in to get the win tonight. For Ukraine to get their second win in a row at Hampden, they are 9-5, and of course for the draw, it's 21-10.
Kerry out there with the Tartan Army in George Square at the moment. 9-5 for Ukraine to get a win again.
Yeah, they've beat us twice out the last 3 times they've played us. Obviously turned us over at home in the World Cup playoffs, so I think that's a decent price. But there was a real buzz about Scotland until the summer, I think. Losing to Ukraine and then losing heavily to Republic of Ireland. Seems to be a wee bit of apathy about the national team at the minute. And I think a result tonight, you'd maybe just get the buzz back again, a wee chance to finish top of this group and get into the playoffs. So I think it's a really important game, but Ukraine are excellent. I think they've only lost one in the last 12 games, and that was against Wales in the playoffs, so they're a very good team as well.
Yeah, my big worry is, Ruffy, that I looked at them technically, I just thought they were better than us, even when they were zinging the ball about. I mean, Zinchenko's a special player, but they've got other players that can hurt us, and they did it with pace at times, and they did it with confidence, playing out of the back, and eventually they got that little grip of the game, and when they scored, we did have the odd chance to build our confidence and try and get back into it, but we couldn't do it.
No, I think we need sort of up our game, particularly in the midfield. I'd like to see us pressing a wee bit more. I think there's far too teams come to Hampden and have an easy way out. I mean, I know they've got a lot of ability and they make it look easy, but you can make it a wee bit harder for them, instead of standing off them and letting them play in a certain area, because they are quite quick on the break. So I would just like to see us in the front foot, because we've got players in there that can win games for us. We just need to show we can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Really looking forward to the game. Of course, Tam and I don't know how many shows, Tam, you and I have actually worked on with Roffy now. I've worked with him 10 years, and he's just told us prior to the programme that your wife's obviously away working, so that means that there's 2 tickets, one for obviously the legend. he gets, because he's got 53 caps, he gets 2 tickets, and there's him. Have you had the call?
No. Are you going to the game?
No,
I'm going to the Republic Island game.
So who are you getting 2 tickets to?
I've left it to somebody else, some other unfortunate person.
Yeah.
You can have them.
Yeah, there you are. You'd do your head in, wouldn't you? Honestly, you'd think when I got the call, wouldn't you?
I don't want to got the call.
A wee bit of hospitality.
If they lump you in the golf course the last couple of times, I got the call.
Well, if you'd have said, I could have made a phone call.
Do you know what? People are losing faith in you at the moment. There's a lot of people actually. I think there's a wee twist now and a turn on Ruffy, the housewife's favourite, because I've just got a message here from Chris Corey, and Chris says, "Does Ruffy get the gloves? Have you got the gloves?"
I'll soon shut him up in a minute.
There they are, eh? There you are, Ruffy. They're fantastic. And
you won Argentina?
Yeah, they are. As you can see, there's only a couple of marks on them.
And that was from the warm-up. Oh, brilliant. Ruffy, where did you get these?
Nike.
Yeah.
I was contracted by Nike. And also a couple others, but I ran out of sponsors.
So will you sign these for us?
Yes, I certainly will.
So sign them and then we can give them away.
Yes.
You need to come up with a question which is related to your career. Don't come up with it right now.
Okay.
But you need to come up with a question and you've got a chance to get a pair of gloves signed by Ruffy. And here's our quiz question for today, just with Scotland in mind, and of course qualifying for tournaments. Who was the last player to score to get us to a European Championships? Now, you have to think about that.
Somebody in a penalty shootout.
Yes, that's exactly it. There you are. So have a think. Don't say anything. We'll get the answer. You don't know who it is, but we'll get the answer at the end of the programme. The last player to score a penalty that effectively, along with Craig Gordon's heroics, got us to the European Championship. So thanks to so many people who have obviously... Hugh Scott says, Peter, does Ruffy's gloves have right and left on them? For him, you would...
The non-stick ones.
By the way, just out of curiosity, because you played a lot of time without the gloves, you'd struggle to get them on, wouldn't you?
I wouldn't.
His hands are dumped.
I'd struggle to get my golf glove on. But they're stretchy, they're not stretchy.
Somebody was asking me the other day there, because you really did play a lot of the time without gloves.
10 years.
And it had a real effect on your hands, although you can still play tennis effectively, I have to tell you. But you could actually have got the operation on the tendons, but you just...
It's a jubitus, people that don't know, it's called jubitus something. It's a tendon, you have to cut your tendons and your hands spring open again.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And why won't you get it?
Because I can't decide when to get it because it's a 3-month recovery.
Yeah.
So I either miss it in my golf or I miss it in my tennis. So.
Yeah, you're taking your time, mate. You don't have much left. What are you thinking? 75, 80? 70, the clock's ticking, Ruffy.
I know how you... Did you see you try to get the coffin lid down?
Ruffy's hands are up the coffin.
Ruffy! how to put him on a downer, honestly. Anyway, listen, we hope you're here. We hope you're here for many years. But I understand where you're coming from, because your schedule is mental. To try and get the operation. By the way, it's not as if he's just saying this in the last couple of months. He's been saying that to me for years. I'm not going to get them cut, to get it fixed.
I'm in no pain. It's no pain at all.
Doesn't bother you?
It doesn't bother me at all.
And of course you can sign your autograph and everything as well.
The only thing is it catches things.
Yeah, okay.
Things you don't expect.
Well, I wish your hands were like that in Argentina.
Thing you don't expect, Lambo.
we may have got to the quarter-finals.
You had to be there.
I have. There you are. So, honestly, Tam's put him on an absolute downer with that line. Listen, Kerry is doing a grand job out there. Can I just say, we're going to go back to Kerry because she's got somebody special with her.
I'm joined here with former Scotland international Charlie Adam. Charlie, before we go on to talk about the Scotland stuff, you've decided to hang up the boots. Talk us through that.
Yeah, listen, it's always difficult. I think a lot of players find it difficult. But I've known for probably the back end of last season that this would probably be my final season. I showed a bit of emotion when I scored against Hibs in the last game for Dundee, and it was probably right, and this is probably the right time. I've waited a few months, had a few offers which were good, but no, I've got into the coaching, I'm enjoying that, and that's the next stage, and I'm looking forward to it.
You've had some great moments in your club career. If you could pick 3 top moments, could you pick them? What would they be?
3 top moments would have to be obviously scoring that goal at Wembley for Blackpool. Making your professional debut and scoring in the Champions League for Rangers, and I'd probably have to top it off with the goal against Chelsea as well, and there's many more moments, but they're probably the top 3. And listen, I've had 20 years in this game and playing and loving every single minute of it, and I will miss it, but I'm in a different pathway and a journey now that I'm looking forward to.
Right, Scotland take on Ukraine tonight. What's your thoughts ahead of tonight's game? Well,
this is a massive game. I think if we lose this, then it's going to be difficult to come back from it. Ukraine obviously done really well against us in the qualifiers, so for the World Cup. So it's going to be difficult for Scotland tonight. But home advantage. You do expect Scotland to be at it and go for Ukraine and try and start on the front foot and make something happen. We got a couple of injuries, Robertson out, Hanley out, so it's a chance for other lads to get an opportunity and hopefully they can grab it.
It's a busy week for Scotland, 3 games in 7 days. How important is it to get that result tonight?
Well, I think Steve said that you take one game at a time. If we can get a result tonight, then the momentum will take forward to Saturday against Ireland and then into the next game after that. But let's focus on tonight. I'd expect probably a full house tonight, and you know it is a big game, and you know more times than not, you know Scotland do turn up, and we are undefeated for a while now, and it's important that if Scotland can do that, then we can have a good chance at a win at Hampden.
Lastly, have you got a message for the guys back in the studio for Tam, Ruffy and Peter since you departed them?
Yeah, listen lads, it's been a pleasure. I enjoyed every minute of it last season. I've obviously missed it this year, but hopefully Peter can invite me back up soon, and still Tam and Ruffy still owe me a glass of red wine and a steak, so I'm looking forward to that. But it's been a pleasure lads, and I watch the show every week and catch up as well, so keep up the great work.
Well, all the best of luck, Charlie. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done to Kerry getting the big man there, eh? You owe a mistake in a bottle of red wine.
Well, he never hung a bit long enough to get it.
You're driving, you're a chauffeur.
Yeah, no. Oh, so he does. I forgot about that. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, it's amazing who you get walking about George Square now.
Oh, I just rolling about. Well, I think it was from the previous nightclub, so just got him. I'll tell you one thing though. I mean, I had to look at it and I thought, Charlie's hanging up his boots. I thought he hung up his boots about 3 months ago.
I thought he'd hung him up at the start of the last season.
Yeah.
To be honest, but no.
But by the way,
he's had a great career, Charlie.
Fantastic.
Aye, coming through at Rangers, and listen, made his debut at Rangers, but never really was a regular. But his career took off when he went to Blackpool.
Yeah.
You know the achievements he made for them, getting them into the Premier League, and then he was absolutely brilliant in the Premier League with Blackpool. They were a breath of fresh air as well, and then getting to Stoke and then getting a big move to Liverpool. So
yeah.
Scotland cap, so fantastic career, and wish him all the best in his coaching career now.
It's been brilliant actually, and the funny thing is, when you've got, I mean, it's good for us. I've been friends with him for forever and a day. I can remember him, at Rangers, and then getting the loan moves. He had 3 loan moves actually. St Mirren was one of them, Blackpool, and obviously Ross County. But the great thing about him is that he hasn't changed. He's down to earth. I mean, I remember Brendan Rodgers, the manager at Liverpool. He was going out for a UEFA Cup game, and he come back in at the end of the game, just off with the top there, you are, Pedro. And he's been fantastic to score that goal, which is one of the Premier League's all-time top goals against Courtois for Stoke City, was incredible, Ruffy.
Yeah, the way he hit it, he was so confident in his ability, but every time you see it, everybody says he used to do it all the time, and probably not on the television, when the cameras and all that are there, but certainly he had the ability, and it's amazing. What was it, 8 million to Liverpool?
Yeah, it must have been something like that, yeah.
Well, fantastic. Obviously we had him here, and he was just like one of us, wasn't he?
Yeah.
No, he is a crazy. And we went into his house and he looked after us.
His house was good, by we get a few bits of furniture and everything in the back of the car. Tam, we tanned that house brilliant, Ruffy, didn't we?
Turned up in that big black car. What was it?
It was an what do you call them? The Overfinch.
Overfinch,
yeah.
Range Rover thing.
Yeah, it was. The only thing missing was like Ice Cube music coming out of it. You know what I mean? It was fantastic. And I like Gallant's line here. He says, "Charlie's best moment has to be the dive." It was absolute quality, wasn't it?
He was great entertainment on here because he was doing something every week, wasn't he? The pass across the goal, he's the Smurn boy to score for Dundee, getting an assist for St Mirren.
The tree. Yeah.
Top of the tree.
Highlights were his valuation of players.
Oh, fantastic.
Valuation
absolutely.
Of players
Edward, 300 grand.
Yeah, Edward, 300 grand. Morelos, 40 million. There you are. He was absolutely top drawer. Anyway, apart from anything else, great Charlie. And of course, 25 caps for his country. There is a debate. I saw 26, but he says 25. I'm more likely to trust Charlie on this one. But 25 caps for his country. His whole family's so proud of him for what he achieved.
Why not? That obviously he's already documented, his family life, and his dad loved him playing. And that was one of the main reasons he came back to Dundee, because that's where his family was and that's where he wanted to finish his career.
Yeah, that must have been a big moment for him as well, getting them promoted. It was just a pity it was during the COVID times when we didn't come on and won the playoff game, and to get Dundee into the Premier League, unfortunately only lasted 1 season, but that must have been some achievement for him, a Dundee fan all his life to get them promoted.
But by the way, not only that, but scoring an absolute belter in a Dundee derby is up there,
aye.
isn't it? I'm surprised he didn't
Then he
mention
scored a
that.
cracker. That'll turn out to be his last senior goal, the one against Hibs.
Yeah.
You know, top corner.
Not many players go to a club that they've always wanted to play for and get them promoted and then relegated.
Yeah, it's a good quiz question.
Yeah, it's a good quiz question, and nice of you to mention the nightmare for him, Ruffy.
Let's move swiftly on to relegated
Swiftly on, I know,
Dundee, please.
exactly. Listen, apart from anything else, we want to make sure that we're celebrating tomorrow, please, as Scotland win. Stuart Armstrong knows the enormity of tonight's fixture against Ukraine.
I think we can all see the importance. You know, it was a road to the Euros, and previous times. So I think everyone can understand the importance of it. It means a lot to us as a nation, and despite what's on offer, I think every game you play, you want to win, you want to perform well. So there's always a level of expectation within ourselves every time we put on the Scotland shirt.
I always try and teach as much as I can and give advice to our journalists when they're going out to press conferences. Try and make sure your camera's at a high enough level so that you don't get Keradine Idsand's big bawheed coming into that clip there. Did you see it? It was like Gunnar Sugden out of 8.5 hot mum, isn't it, Ruffy? coming into the clip there, but nevertheless, Stuart Armstrong could easily fit in there. That's the good thing about it, because we've got players who are playing in the top flight, and they can come in when we're suffering the odd injury here and there.
Yeah, I think he's unfortunate that the three we've got, obviously McGinn, McGregor and Gilmour, I still think he's got something to offer. I think he's a really strong midfield player, likes to get forward, likes to get goals. So I think there's still a chance for him, if he can get an extended run.
Yeah. Hugh Scott makes a good point, Ruffy. He says, Peter, surely Ruffy must have managed that feat as well, promotion and relegation at Partick.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you're one?
Yeah, I've got a promotion medal, and I've not got a relegation medal. Yes, I have. Yes.
Yeah. So you're actually in the same boat as Charlie.
Yeah.
There you are.
Must have done it 2 or 3 times.
To be fair, by the way, you're the only guy I know that might have got teams promoted and then liquidated. Your after dinner act is just a nightmare.
Promoted, relegated and liquidated. Have you got that in a locker? No, well, there you go.
There you go, you're on your own. Okay. The Nations League, do you understand it all, Ruffy?
Yeah, I think if you...
Have you grasped it?
I think a wee bit. Well, let me try and think, and then tell me I'm wrong.
Hold on a minute. We'll let our reporter Adam
You let him have it.
Adam's going to explain it all to everyone.
Scotland face Ukraine tonight in the first of 3 crucial UEFA Nations League matches. There's a lot of confusion around the Nations League format, so we've broken it down to tell you exactly what these next 3 matches mean for Scotland. Scotland currently sit in second place in Group 1 of League B, 1 point behind group leaders Ukraine and 2 points ahead of Ireland in third, having played 1 game less. But why are these matches so important? What is the reward for success in the group? Well, the group winners of League B Group 1 would automatically be promoted to UEFA Nations League A, where Scotland would be grouped against Europe's elite nations. However, the prize for Scotland is not promotion, but the potential for UEFA Euro 2024 qualification. Group victory would guarantee a playoff spot to qualify for UEFA Euro 2024 if Scotland have not already qualified through the regular Euro 2024 qualifying group path. So, if Scotland win their Nations League group and fail to qualify automatically from the qualifying groups, they would be guaranteed a semi-final playoff match against another Nations League, League B group winner, or the next best team should the group winner have already qualified. In short, group victory would mean Scotland were only 2 wins away from a major international tournament qualification. If all other groups remain the same, Scotland could face either Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia or Israel again in the Euro 2024 playoff semi-finals. Well, Scotland will play against Ukraine at Hampden tonight before hosting Ireland on Saturday. They will close their Nations League campaign next Wednesday with an away match to Ukraine. 3 wins will guarantee Scotland top spot in the group. 1 draw against Ukraine in either match, paired with a victory in the other 2 matches, would also guarantee group victory. However, should Scotland lose tonight, they would require Ukraine to lose to Armenia at the weekend and to Scotland next week. There you have it, 3 matches, 3 wins, and Scotland could find themselves League B Group 1 victors and guarantee themselves a playoff semi-final spot for UEFA Euro 2024.
Brilliant, Adam. That's the best way to explain it all. 3 wins.
I know that anyway.
You did know that. 3 wins. There is the normal qualification process as well, but 3 wins. Just destiny is in our own hands, as Steve Clarke put it. But he reckons if we lose to Ukraine tonight, it's over.
Yeah, curtains. I think Ukraine will win the group comfortably if they come to Hampden and win. But as I said, if we can, take 6 points from the next 2 games, we go to Ukraine needing a draw. We top the group, so all to play for. Listen, the stakes are high. We got into the playoff the last time. We topped the group, and we know what happened there. We managed to beat Serbia, so it'd be great to get to do that again and get into Euro 24.
Yeah, okay. Just a message to everyone who joins us on the programme. Don't forget, if you have joined us for the first time, welcome along. Ruffy, Tam Cowan, Hugh McDonald, Alison McConnell, so many of them all joining us on a regular basis, and special guests every week for you to enjoy. One-to-ones, Charlie Adam there in George Square with Kerry Pollock and of course Adam Binney. We've got lots of unique content. If you download the app, you get all the breaking football stories, PLZ Soccer in Google Play and in the App Store. And of course, to get all the notifications, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. And not only you get a chance to engage with us and we'll read out your messages, but you can engage with other people and become part of a community, which I think is always good. We say join the football family. If you love your football, then you can join it with us and have a bit of banter, as well as winning some really good prizes. Ruffy's gloves, he's going to sign them, and we're going to give away a question. What?
I've got a question.
You've got a question?
Yeah, I've got a...
For the gloves?
Yeah.
Okay. Will we do that on Friday then? Let's do it on Friday.
Forget it, man.
No, keep it in your mind now. Keep it in your mind and I'll write it down. Okay, Ruffy's going to sign the gloves as well. There's a chance for you to win them. And there's also, this week coming, a chance for you to win a Rangers jersey from last season with the programme from the UEFA Cup final, the Europa League final, I beg your pardon, against Eintracht Frankfurt. Although they lost, it was a memorable journey to it, Tam. And I think some people like, a wee bit of memorabilia just to remember the great times and the great games that they may well have been there with their family and their friends.
Yeah, and listen, it's not every day that Celtic and Rangers get into the European final. No, it's not many. So it might be a long time before either get back into another one. So, no, I think that programme will be very much sought after by the Rangers supporters.
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you to so many of you who are sharing the feed with everyone and telling everybody about the programme. We're receiving lots of compliments along the way. We're going to be talking Celtic financial figures, Rangers potentially releasing theirs as well, and the implications for both clubs. We're going to talk EPL and the money that's been handed out to the clubs down south, which is creating a huge problem. We'll talk Dundee United and the injury list at Hibernian, which hopefully is going to get a little bit better on the forthcoming weeks. We'll hear from Tam and get his thoughts on that as well. First thing that was in my mind, and I've got to mention it, is best wishes to Murdo MacLeod. Murdo was on our programme on a regular basis. Thoroughly enjoyed his company, and he was a fabulous player for club and country, for Celtic, for Hibs and for Borussia Dortmund. Started it all off at Dumbarton and had international caps for Scotland, played at the World Cup too. I can remember because I made the journey to go and watch him. He's had a little bit of a heart scare, heart surgery, and I think his family rightly came out and just said, look, he's in the recovery mode at the moment, and we wish him the very best, Ruffy.
Yeah, we certainly do. As you say, he's been on the show on numerous occasions. Very well respected, obviously, at Celtic, but also at other clubs as well, the ones you mentioned. And you're right, we do hope I think he's 63, Murdo, just now.
Yeah, too young.
You're right. So, let's hope that everything goes well.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Tammy, he won the League Cup with Hibs as the captain.
He did. He's loved it. Hibernian. He's part of that Cup winning team, Skull Cup winning team. So, just echo what you just said there. I've been his company plenty of times as well, after dinner gigs and stuff like that. He's a real gentleman, nice guy, and with a lovely family. So we're hoping you get better soon, Murdo.
Yeah, absolutely. I always like hearing Murdo telling us the story of standing in the Scotland Wall, Ruffy, and Branko decides to hit a haymaker. And at that moment, I know from your point of view as a goalkeeper, the last thing you want to see is Branko hitting a shot and you have to try and save it.
Yeah, but he's obviously his punchline to it is excellent. In which way we shoot.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to chat about Murdo, and hopefully, with a bit of luck, he's back in full fighting form. Great family, as you rightly pointed out there, Tam. So, Celtic's financial figures. They've made a profit of £6 million during the financial year. As you can see, excuse me, its revenue increased by 45% to 88.2 million from 60.8 million the year previously. Operating expenses increased by 23% to 91.7 million. The gain on player sales is 29 million, which is up from 9.4. Player registrations increased to 38.4 million, and that was really them backing the manager. Profit before tax 6 million, and the other situation which I think Celtic fans will be looking at, Ruffy, is 30 million in the bank.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Celtic came out very early on and said that the way to stay in the game is obviously to bring in some players and sell them on, and they've certainly done that in the last 2 or 3 years. The money they've been able to sell on for players has been absolutely unbelievable. That can only help any figures at all that you're publishing. You know, but we know that it was a vast change round when the new manager came in. I think everybody knew that it had to be 12, 13, 14 players come in. That costs a lot of money as well. And you take the wages into consideration. So to show any kind of profit in this day and age is fantastic.
And they've backed the manager big time, Tam, as I was choking to death here. Ruffy wasn't caring. You know the great thing about it? I've been on this programme before and I was almost dying, right? And I kid you not, I was sitting on and Ruffy's still firing away there.
Professionalism, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going to give the kids a life.
Absolutely, I know. But thankfully I'm okay. But 38.4 million, the Celtic board have backed the manager.
Oh, yeah, they have. I think they had to. I think when you look at the squad that he inherited, it was nowhere near strong enough. You know, the early games when he came into the door, you've seen that. You know, three losses in the first 6 games in the Premier League. You know, popped out of Europe very early as well. Out of every competition, I think. So they had to back him, and you know that's been vindicated by his signings. You know, and Ange Postecoglou, it's all right giving the manager money, but you've got to spend it wisely. And you look at the pool of players that Celtic have got now. Not only are the quality, you know, they're all at a great age. You know, I think the average age of the team at the other night was 24 in the Champions League. So they've got plenty of assets that they can sell on. So I think under Ange Postecoglou everything's looking bright. The most important thing for Celtic now is to try and hold on to him, because you know there's various clubs now, you know, being linked heavily with the manager. Yeah, well, with that in mind, he's over in Australia at the moment, and he's quite emphatic with it, Ruffy, because he's been interviewed and he's just basically said he's going nowhere. Obviously the links with the English Premier League because of what he's achieving so far at Celtic, but he was linked with Brighton, and now suddenly people are putting 2 and 2 together and thinking, well, you know, Leicester will be looking at him as well. But I think he's the quote from him is, right now I'm at a massive football club, I'm living the dream, I'm enjoying every minute of it, and I'm determined to bring as much success as I can while I'm here.
Yeah, I think it's the same with Rangers and Celtic all the time. You know, they're massive clubs, and when you're in that situation, you're enjoying every minute of it. You're winning leagues. You're in Europe. You're experiencing European nights, and the question we always say is why would you want to leave to a club in the lower division of the English Premiership? And I think you have to be more and more wary now what club you go to if you leave Rangers and Celtic, because if you go to a bottom 6 team, you could only be there a year, because they sack their manager so quickly. You know,
Yeah.
So these are things you've got to take into consideration. Yeah, everybody wants to be in the English Premiership. That's where all the best players are. But when you're at a club like Rangers and Celtic and you're getting 50, 60,000 people there every second week, you wouldn't get that at another club, I don't think.
Yeah.
No, the top clubs in England, I mean.
There are some clubs who are able to pay big money, and Brendan Rodgers took full advantage of that. He wanted a road back to the Premier League in England, albeit that it really kind of irked a lot of Celtic fans the way he went about it. But even now, even if you fail in the Premier League, Tam, you are set for life. They're talking about maybe 18 million for Brendan Rodgers to go from Leicester.
Yeah, and I don't think that Ange Postecoglou's, you know, he's managed at a decent level, but I don't think he'd be that well off in terms of being a multi-millionaire like some of the guys down the road. So it could be if that's what he wants. If he wants to go and secure his future, his family's future, and with a big payday, you're right. He could go to England, but I just don't. He doesn't strike me as that type of guy. Ange Postecoglou, I could be totally wrong with this. I think he's in the game to win things and experience things, and that's why he's went to different countries. So I think he'll be at Celtic for long term. As long as he keeps getting back to the board, which they have done, they've backed him heavily. And Champions League, if they can make some improvements there, maybe they've got a great chance of getting through this year. I think, if they can get into the last 16 of the Champions League and been dominant at home, then I think that's all that Ange would want.
Well, I'm going to slightly disagree with you, because I think there's a shelf life as a Celtic manager. I think it's 3 to 4 years, Ruffy, and I think Ange Postecoglou will look, and this is not a criticism of Celtic Football Club, this is a realisation of where Scottish football is. I think you get to a point where, from Ange's point of view, he'll want to win the league, he'll want to win the cups, he'll want to enjoy those moments with his family and the Celtic family. But I think the biggest achievement for him would be, kind of knockout stages of the Champions League. If you could get Celtic at any point into that section of it, he would realise that there is a ceiling point. And I think at that point, you eventually start to say to yourself, well, I'm at my peak, and the clubs are knocking, and more clubs are knocking on the door, and it becomes very difficult to say no. And 3 or 4 years in this country at times can wear you down.
Yeah, I don't think any of us can imagine what it's like as a Celtic or a Rangers manager walking in every day and being in charge of these massive 2 clubs. The demands that are on you, the demands that are on your family life, and the things you have to do. So I think it was Gordon Strachan said it, I think Neil Lennon said it, I think Martin O'Neill said exactly what you said there. 4 years is a long, long time in a massive club, but I think if you keep getting success, you tend to stay a wee while longer. I think it's when you feel as if, as you've just said there, maybe I can't get them into the latter stages, and then if your stock's high, because we all realise now that when your stock's high, that's when you go. You don't go when it's low. So you've got to really determine, when's the right time.
It would depend, I think, on what club it was. If it's you're talking a top 6 club, then to go to a Brighton or a Leicester, I just don't see that at the minute. I don't think any of them are anywhere near, the level that Ange probably wants to get to.
Yeah. The money might make you feel secure for the rest of your life, and I think every one of us has to understand that. I think Martin Weir makes a good point on the feed here. He says, again, why are we trying to get rid of good managers, players, just because they're working for, as he suggests, the other team? Well, whether it's Celtic or Rangers, there's always that little bit of speculation, because realistically, although there is an attachment from fan to club, Ruffy, it doesn't matter where you are. If you're a joiner, you want to better yourself. Somebody comes in and offers you more money, you go. It's the same in life and football. If a footballer turns around and says, I've got to go, I'm getting more money, secures my family for life, I'm off. It's the same with managers. We're not trying to get rid of any player or manager. That's just life, because when you're doing well, people start to pay attention.
Yeah, it's all about the individual, how happy you are in your day job, what you're doing. If you're enjoying every minute of it. Tam's already touched on it, he seems to travel a wee bit, but there comes a stage when you end up at a club where you don't want to travel. It's so good, you're enjoying every minute of it, and you're getting paid handsomely as well. So no, it's all about the individual, when they think that the time has come.
I like Peg's line on this. She says, I'll collapse into my cornflakes if Postecoglou leaves this season. So
I don't think he'll leave this season, no chance.
Your cornflakes are safe, Peg. You're fine. Simple as that. Oh, she says from shock. I didn't think she was just going to collapse into her cornflakes for the sake of it. But listen, I think everybody agrees that he's got a few more years to try and achieve something with Celtic. Now, from Celtic's healthy figures financially, Rangers, I don't think are too far away from releasing them, Ruffy. I wonder what they're going to be. We've had 9 years of consecutive losses. That's just a fact. I think, yesterday it was the Vice Chairman John Bennett, today it's the Managing Director Stuart Robertson, just coming out, and this is what Stuart Robertson had to say. Obviously, I think with the figures pending, some think that money has fallen out of the sky, but it's not like that, because we know we'll be in the group stages of the Europa League. That's budgeted. The £40 million that's been obviously thrown about of late, that number is just wrong. unless we perform really well, get through to the next round, even get through to the last 8, we are probably not getting anywhere close to 40 million. Everybody knows we can do better, but you realise the difference between the Europa League and the Champions League in terms of quality. I hope people can now see the reality. I think we should have done more to get that message out earlier. So, again, yesterday, John Bennett, and I think today again, is both board members reiterating and trying to suggest to people, listen, one, it's not 40 million. Now,
but the supporters, that's what they think, isn't it?
Well, not only that,
the newspapers and different things.
Just because Stuart Robertson or Michael Nicholson or Alan Burrows or somebody says a particular figure, just because they say it's not, it doesn't mean to say that over a cumulative period being involved in it, that's the potential that you can make. There's more money being handed out by UEFA in this tournament, but then you have into the equation, Tam, you have the actual tickets for the games, right? That's there. You've got money for the budgeted for the points that you can, if you win games. You've got all the merchandise, the bonuses from that alone. It's a hefty figure, even if it's 30 million. I think fans automatically start saying, well, and this is the crux of the Rangers situation, which is, well, if it's 30 million, why are you not giving the manager
why are you not spending
money?
That's what I was thinking when I was reading that. That's why the bottom line, we just the last sentence there, we should have got the message out earlier, I think, is key, because I think that the Rangers supporters expected as soon as Rangers beat PSV, we're getting 30-40 million, right, let's go out and buy somebody quick,
yes.
Buy some players, and I think he's realising that, he's trying to get it over, the realisation to the Rangers supporters that they're not getting anywhere near that, and you're talking about getting points per game and wins and all that. Rangers might not win a game, might not get a point, so I think that he's right, the gap between the Europa League and the Champions League is huge, and I actually mentioned that last week, for Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, it probably would have been better for him, results-wise, to not to get through to the Champions League. I know financially it's great for the club, but for him to take maybe five or six beatings in the Champions League, and then, the season before the Europa League, getting to the final, very competitive, great run, supporters all buzzing, to go for it in a downer, to getting beat every week in the Champions League. I don't think it's great for the manager, but he's right, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near that, and I think the figures that are going to come out shortly for Rangers will back that up.
Yeah, and that's the difficulty, I think, that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has, Ruffy, trying to build a side, get the new signings into the team, bed them in, and then try and keep alive the title race, which is very much alive when you look at what happens over the weekend. But then to counter that, when you're moving up levels into the Champions League, I can see the best hope is a point against Ajax, maybe 3, but I have my doubts. I'm like Tam, I can't see a point for Rangers in this group.
No, I've said they're in the hardest group of the two teams. You just look at the quality and you would think at least 2 of these teams in the Rangers group could possibly be in the last 8 of the competition, and that just shows you how difficult it is. But you have to say, I think from where Rangers were to where they are now, they've absolutely thrown the kitchen sink at it financially. Now, I don't know the figures, what's going on behind the scenes, but they've spent a lot of money on wages and possibly signing on fees as well, and transfers as well. So the target was to get into the Champions League. They took a massive gamble financially. I don't know how they did it financially. I don't know the figures or who, but at the end of the day, they got to where they wanted to be, and I think that costs you money. And you've just got to balance the two up, and hope that, it was all worthwhile, and I'm sure it will be in the long run. Yeah,
well, I think there's an element here of, and I think Rangers fans will have to, even when the figures come out, the finances, and I don't know what they are yet, but when they do come out, I think there needs to be a certain amount of balance, Tam, and fairness to a situation where I think Stuart Robertson and John Bennett have mentioned, look, you need to show patience over the summer signings. I think there's increased pressure because the signings at Celtic, the majority of them seem to have hit the ground running. Yep. And the Rangers players are not coming in and giving Giovanni Van Bronckhorst that problem of who to pick. They haven't really pushed for the starting places. But I think they make a valid point, which is quite simply, over the last couple of years, if you're in a situation where you say to yourself, well, wait a minute, even after COVID, we win the league, we win the Scottish Cup, we stop 10 in a row, we get to a Europa League final, and we qualify for the group stages of the Champions League. if you put that all in perspective, that is great going. It's not good going, it's great going. It's way, way ahead of, I think, even the most ardent of Rangers fans' expectations.
Yeah, I mean, could any Rangers fan envisage that when they lost in Luxembourg to Progress? You know, when Mark Warburton was there and Celtic were pummeling them every week, you know, and they've came a long, long way, and supporters have got short-term memory because of a couple of bad results, and they're thinking, oh, sack the manager. Now they're gunning for Ross Wilson, you know, director of football, you know, signings. But I think when you look at it, as you just said there, overall, you look at the last 2 or 3 seasons what Rangers have done, you know, and how far they've came. I think it's phenomenal. And if you're a Rangers support, you've got to be patient because, as I said, there's going to be maybe harder times ahead. You know, when the guys that put all the money in to Rangers want their money back, you know, on those loans, because Rangers were losing 8-10 million a year for 5, 6, 7, 8 years in a row. So at some point, these guys are going to want their money back. We spoke about it before. So maybe it's this season when Rangers have got a few quid, and maybe they go, listen, we're going to get some of our money back that we put in our hands in our pockets to get you here. And I think that might be that might happen in the next season or two.
But it shows you how much they've progressed in the 4 years. 4 years ago, the 11 players that were on the park, you couldn't have sold any of them. But now they have got players they can sell on, the Parsons, the Barces, the Aribos, you know, you can get Kent, you know, and that's an asset in any club. You know, if you were to post figures of minus, you say, well, look at the assets that are on the park.
Yeah, they're now starting to develop and I think from the board's point of view, they're hoping that when they're developing players, getting them young, getting them at a specific age, they can start to rely on a conveyor belt of people on a regular basis that will be sold eventually. But I'll tell you one thing, I wouldn't like to be your football director or the scout who has to go out. It's a fine balancing act between a player's doing well and then selling them at the absolute peak point that you're going to get maximum money. I mean, Morelos, we only have to look at us. We've been talking about Morelos for 3 years on this programme.
Yeah, I don't think Rangers are going to get anywhere near what they could have, but they've had 2 or 3 get-it-year service out of them. So, you know, if you sell them, then you don't get that. You know, he was a huge partner. They run to the Europa League final last year. And then you look at Bassi, Rangers bought him for peanuts and then sold him on for big money, and that is perfect. You know, perfect timing for everyone. You know, Ajax come in for him, you know, you get 20 to 25 million for him and you sell him on, but that's got to be the model for us. That's the model for every club, but particularly Celtic and Rangers, you know, try and buy, you know, get young prodigies and sell them on for top dollar and then reinvest it back into the team. Yeah,
and I'll tell you one thing, anybody in Scotland, that's why I wanted Hearts, Ruffy, to make it to the Europa League, because the money is, you know, way beyond what Hearts have been generating over the last few years. To get that sort of money would have been really, I think, game-changing for them in many, many ways. Okay, they're still getting a nice kitty from the Conference League, but again, you know, how much money they're going to get from that in comparison to what they could have had by beating a team that they should have beaten.
They've not won a point yet. Zurich, they beat every game.
Well, absolutely, you know, that's what you say to yourself. They should have beaten Zurich, but when you consider the difficulties that we have up here and what's happening across Europe, because here is just a few of the clubs. The English Premier League released details of the distribution of money from the TV deals and all the stuff that's brought in from the TV revenue. Manchester City got 153 million for winning it. 6th place got you 143 million with Man United. If you finished 10th, Brighton received 126 million. 15th was still 117 million for Everton, and even Norwich relegated 101 million, and it's £2.5 billion has been split amongst the 20 clubs for that revenue from last year. That is mind-boggling, and the problem is, Ruffy, forget about us and our insular way of thinking here in Scotland. Europe is looking at that, and European football is really worried about how they even compete with these teams.
Yeah, well, the top teams in my era were Barcelona and Real Madrid, but now the better players are going to other teams, whereas they'd all be going to Barcelona or Real Madrid. But they're now finding it in England particularly, you know, they're going there with that kind of money that's going about, they're getting unbelievable wages, you know, and that's where they're going, you know, and you can just see that with the Champions League. And many English clubs are in the last 8 or the last 16, it's far more than any other country.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy to think about. I know that sometimes you have to just suck it up when you hear some of the arrogance that, is in print or spoken down south. But if you've got 100 million, you're way ahead of so many clubs up here, and even Celtic and Rangers don't have that sort of figure that's just paid out in a lump sum from the TV deal. I mean, Celtic winning the league last year, 3.3 million.
Yeah, you just can't compete with the big English teams, and you're right. Your Bayern Munich's, your Real Madrid's, they can't compete either with English teams. And Norwich City, for example, 100 million. They are the prime example of a yo-yo club. They just pocket that 100 million, and they'll probably come back up this year. They'll go back up, they'll go straight back down again. They'll pocket that money, they'll be competitive in the Championship and come back up. And your Fulhams, your West Broms and Norwiches have all done it for years. It's just, there's such a big gap between, and that's why all our best players go to, guys for Celtic, Rangers going to your Brightons and your Nottingham Forest and all that, because they're getting double, treble, the money that you're getting here. So even at Celtic, Rangers. So for the competition, the European competition, it's something that probably needs looked at, I think.
See how we're looking at it, and we're looking at the £153 million, which is unbelievable figures. But say you're Manchester City and you've got say 8 players on 200,000 a week. How much is that a year?
That's a lot of money. Yeah. How much is it, Ruffy?
Well, those 200 would be 800. Just say $1 million. See, he's on $1 million a month.
Yeah.
That's 12 million a year. So if you get 10 of them, that's 120 million.
Yeah. Sean Maxwell says Neil Doncaster can't get a great deal for Scottish football. He should step down. Sean, he can't get a great deal for Scottish football because the clubs keep stabbing each other in the back. Let's not rewrite history, Sean. There's a reason why the chief executive can't look at the whole picture and go and get prime sponsors in, is because if they're not all WhatsApping each other, they're all not agreeing on deals, stabbing each other, all in for their own self-interest. Sean, let's not go back over the exact facts of history, but if they wanted him out the door, they could replace him, but the board members all keep him, and he's there basically as the representative of all the clubs. Tam, that's why he's still in the job. If he wasn't doing the job to the best of the ability for the clubs, they would remove him.
They would vote him out. Yep, he's in charge of the clubs, and it's up to the clubs. But they can't they're not going to agree on everything. Never mind a TV deal, never mind getting rid of Doncaster. So, but I do think we totally undersell our game up here. Yeah. I think we've got a great product for football mad in this country, and when you look at those figures in England, it's remarkable the gap.
Do you know, I love the pub argument. I must admit, and I've got a few of my English pals, and I always say to them, give them 3 or 4 years just to get used to it. But if Celtic and Rangers were in that English Premier League,
they'd be
3 or 4 years, and then they'd be battering them.
Yeah, they'd be competing to win the league.
Yeah,
Celtic and Rangers are as big as anyone down there. Probably Liverpool, Man United, but apart from that, Celtic and Rangers are as big as anyone in England.
Yeah, I think that's the case, Ruffy. I think they would be eventually bigger than all of them.
Yeah, if you're going to get them 150 million, you buy players accordingly. Yeah, and the big players would then see that they're going to 2 tremendous clubs.
Absolutely, give them 150 million, and they probably wouldn't even let the fans in. Never mind the press. Anyway, just a couple of things. Here's the answer to the quiz. Did you get the answer? Well, we're asking who was the last player to score to get us to a European Championship. So it was a penalty kick, and it was scored by any of you two?
I'll go for Dykes.
Dykes, Ruffy?
McGinn.
Okay, it was Kenny McLean. So there you have it. Of course, Craig Gordon, as ever, working his magic, helped us along the way as well. Couple of things quickly, Tam. McGeady, he's getting sugar injections in his knee. That seems to work to strengthen the medial ligament. Sure.
Hopefully
4 to 6 weeks, they reckon. 4 to 6 weeks to get him up to real full speed.
No, I think that'd be great. I think that he's a top player. Unfortunately, he's picked up an injury, but hopefully that'll sweeten his knee up a wee bit.
Yeah. he's terrible, isn't he? He really is. Sometimes when he's on the after dinner, he waits and lets the gang linger as well. Now he's doing all these timing stuff as well. Kevin Nisbet, a little longer, Ruffy, for him. I think probably after the World Cup we'll start to see Kevin Nisbet.
Yeah, I've never been injured for any length of time, but it must be a horrible experience when all your mates are going out training and you're sitting in that treatment table for 6, 7, 8 months. You just hope he comes back as good as what he was.
Yeah. Also, Dundee United still waiting. Do you think we'll get a Dundee United manager before the end of the season?
I think it's the boy. It's
Fox
already. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're just hanging out to eventually name him, Tam.
I think so.
Comes.
No.
Here it comes.
No.
It had to be one.
Yeah, one of your mates
It's
at the job, Tam.
a cunning appointment.
I think they're going to get. I don't think they've got the money to go and buy something to get somebody else in.
Oh.
So I think Fox is the man. They're still paying off Jack Ross, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's going to be one of those, I think time and a little bit of engineering of it. But you never know, maybe Kevin Thompson's convinced them that he's the man. Who knows? We will keep you up to date with it. Listen, the great thing about the programme, we are so delighted that you're joining us. And lots of you post your messages and interact with other people. That's the one thing they do with great regularity, Ruffy. They'll make a point which we can then relate to, and then quite a lot of our viewers then start to decide, well, now that I'm on, I'll just batter the other guy who's on as well. And then they create, it's almost as if he's going into a bar, Tam, scalping you in the chin, and then realising there's another 300 in, I'll start scalping them as well. It's sometimes it's enjoyable to watch, but then every now and then we have to ban the odd one or two. But the great thing about it, Ruffy, and I think this is something that PLZ Soccer's 24/7. It's free. You can watch us on YouTube free, and you can put us on your smart television up in your man cave or in your living room.
Yep, you've got 24 hours. You know that I'm sure you can find some space to watch everything that's on there. Everything.
Yeah.
If you've got 24 hours spare.
Yeah, absolutely. What's it like having 24 hours spare?
Not me, I don't know.
No. Chris Corey, who's not letting us go with this. Chris has been on this case for a while, Ruffy. When are we going to do the gloves? Will we do them Friday?
I can do them now. I've got a great question right now.
Eh?
I've got a great question.
So get it. He's dying to
Wait a minute, I've got to maximise it. I've got to get it out on Facebook and let everybody on Twitter have a chance as well. Friday?
Friday.
Will you sign them today?
Yes, I will.
Magic. Friday. Chris, I've asked the question. These are the gloves, and of course, as ever, they are absolutely minted. And just
you love to wear them Ruffy gloves, anything that helped you.
Ruffy, just hold them like that.
Yeah.
Hold them like that and recreate what happened when Zico bent the ball round you, or even Kubias for Peru. What happened?
With that?
Yeah.
Just one of these, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's ever so accurate, Ruffy, although I still think your best one was this is his move. This is his move for Zico, bending it round the Scotland wall into the roof of the net. This is him.
Did you not even move for it?
No, you don't move for them.
I saw
I
it.
saw it.
Yeah.
It came round the outside of the wall. Never saw it till it hit the post.
I went in. Fantastic.
Right in the corner.
You start berating your wall.
I clapped him.
Yeah, sure you did, Ruffy. Anyway, thanks to so many of you for your great messages. It is free. You get to interact. You get to join the football family. Hit the subscribe button. Share it with your friends. We'd love to have you on board on a regular basis. If you want breaking football news, download PLZ Soccer's app. And of course, you can actually watch the programme on your phone, your tablet, or indeed just transfer it to your telly. From Tam, from Ruffy, and from myself, Peter Martin, thanks to you for watching.